Well, thanks, Nancy. It's always great to be here at the Power Academy and with SMUD and show off everything that's happening in our region. You know, this has been a historic first year of the Biden administration. If you think about what we did back in March with the American Rescue Plan, which really was focused on getting ahead of the pandemic, getting vaccinations in there, but getting resources out to communities to really set the foundation for recovery. A few months ago, we passed the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill, which was the second phase, again, this historic year, to rebuild America, to bring us into the 21st century with infrastructure, to address the need to get to zero net carbon, to invest in the 21st century. And that was a historic bill, the largest infrastructure bill in our history. We've got those resources over to the administration, but we've got one more bill that we have to pass. That's the human infrastructure, the capital, so we can have full participation in the workforce. What we see here with vocational training, with investing in the American people, is to give everyone that ability to reach their full potential. And that's what the Build Back Better Act is really about, investing in the American people, investing in American families, making sure from the beginning of your life to the end of your life, you can live your life to the fullest. We've done our job in the House of Representatives, passing that and passing it over to the Senate, and urge my Senate colleagues to get that done and let's send it to the President's desk. With that, part of getting the resources over to the administration is the work that our guest today, Secretary Jennifer Granholm, will do. If you think about the vision of what they're doing at DOE, the vision of what's happening in the administration, they're not looking at what we need to do today. They're envisioning where we need to be a decade from today, 2 decades from today, a century from today, building that infrastructure. And that's what this is all about. Now, she may have been the governor of Michigan, but we can claim a little bit of her here in California because she's a UC Berkeley graduate. And we're not going to hold that against her up here in the Sacramento region.
Go Bears!
But we're extremely proud of what President Biden's doing, what Secretary Granholm's doing, and the real opportunities that, with these 3 major pieces of legislation, it's going to put us on the right path to win the 21st century. So with that, let me introduce our guest today, the Secretary, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Congressman. You were so fortunate to have such a tremendous leader from here for you in Washington, because the Congressman, obviously he's brilliant in so many ways, but he's able to take that brilliance that is the leadership that California has represented and bring it back to Washington, because so much of what we want to do at the Department of Energy, what the President has as a goal, is what California is striving for as well. So thank you for hosting today. Thank you for leading. And thanks to SMUD for hosting this and for giving me a perspective. So here's the reason why I'm here. First of all, the President has a goal of getting to 100% clean electricity by 2035, 100%. How are we going to do that? As was said, the sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow. Clean means 0 carbon emissions. So how do we find a way to make renewable power essentially baseload, what we call dispatchable clean power? And so the way you do that is, one of the ways you do that is by making sure you can store solar power and store wind and then dispatch it when you need it. And the way you do that is through batteries. So what SMUD is doing right here is doing a demonstration of how a utility scale batteries can make clean, renewable energy, essentially that mother lode of base load clean energy. So thank you for your leadership on this. The earth shots that you mentioned, we want to make sure that technology has a big hand in how we are able to get to this 100% clean electricity future. And so one of the earth shots is to be able to make a technology leap to get utility scale storage, those batteries that you saw out there, those batteries to be able to be 90% less in cost than what they are today by 2030. And if we do that, and when we do that, because the cost of batteries have already dropped 80% in the past decade, we want to get them down to being very inexpensive, because we don't want citizens to have to pay for the storage. We want the sun, which is free, and the wind, which is free, to be able to be stored at minimal cost and have people be able to benefit from that clean power. And not just people, because the cost for individuals will come down, for homeowners will come down, but also we know that the extreme weather events that we are experiencing, the droughts that California has been experiencing, the wildfires that California has been experiencing, are because we, as a globe, put way too much carbon pollution into the air. And why does that carbon pollution go into the air? It's because we burn fossil fuels as a source of energy. If we can remove that carbon pollution, we will be doing our part to be able to heal the planet. And climate change is an existential threat, and we have to act with urgency. Do you know California has spent, I want to say, $100 billion over the past few years just cleaning up after these extreme weather events? $100 billion of California's money. That is a huge amount of money we're spending after the fact, when what we should be doing is investing to build out this clean energy future so that we don't see the continued acceleration of these terrible weather events. So SMUD's example of how we can get to that clean, dispatchable baseload power is what we want to take across the nation. Thank you for that. And number two, if we want to build out all of this clean electricity, we have to build out the transmission for that clean electricity. That means we're going to need the workers to be able to build that out. And so the second example that you are setting here at SMUD, in partnership with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, the IBEW, is to create good jobs for people to be able to install the kinds of technologies that, not just the solar and the wind, but also the transmission grid itself. And so the fact that you can get a good job as an apprentice, starting pay at up to $40 an hour, like getting paid to be trained at $40 an hour, and then after a few years, when you graduate from the apprenticeship program, getting paid $70 an hour, that is just an amazing opportunity. Talk about a family-sustaining wage and a career. So thank you for that as well, because what the Build Back Better Act will do is to help partner and pay for apprenticeships like that, to give opportunity to people in all pockets of this country. This is not just a California issue, obviously. We have to double the size of our national transmission grid. And what does that mean? Huge number of jobs have to be created. In fact, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Build Back Better agenda will create 1.5 million jobs per year over the next decade. Good paying jobs for people all over the country. California will benefit from the leadership of Congressman Bera and that bipartisan infrastructure law which has passed. You are going to get hundreds of millions of dollars to help build out your electric vehicle charging infrastructure. You'll get $100 million to build out additional broadband so that every corner of California will get access to that. You'll get $30 billion to improve your roads and your bridges. There is so much in this bill for California. But the next bill will also help to build out this clean energy infrastructure. And so the tax credits associated with building out solar and wind are very significant. In addition to those tax credits, people who want to buy electric vehicles, off of the top, at the dealership, people will be able to take off about $12,000 for the price of a new electric vehicle, so that people will have both the ability to charge that electric vehicle and to be able to afford an electric vehicle. All of that energy that's required for those electric vehicles, the charging, will require more transmission and more energy, and therefore more jobs. We want that energy to be clean. So the bottom line is, between the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Build Back Better agenda, we will get to the president's goal of getting 100% of our electricity from clean sources. As we invest both in the technologies of the future and the technologies of today, we're going to create jobs all across this country, and that's what the president is all about. So I am so pleased to be here to amplify what SMUD is doing to be able to create jobs and to get us to that clean energy future. Thank you so much.